How's it going, Yankee fans? My name is Alex with my co-host here, Ryan Garcia. And today we want to take a look at Aaron Hicks' injury. Went down yesterday after fouling a ball off his right shin. Really unfortunate because Hicks was finally turning things around and looking like his normal self, showcasing that power, that consistency, and some good defensive capabilities as well, shifting over to left field. Obviously, Aaron Judge did not play yesterday, so he performed in center field, his usual spot. But that right shin, it did not look good. He was limping heavily off the field. He couldn't even walk under his own power. They diagnosed it as a right shin bone contusion, which could be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks on the injured list dealing with this. So, it could be less depending on the severity of it, but it looks like the x-rays came back negative. So no broken bone, just a pretty significant bruise. And that will take a lot of time to heal. Luckily, they have the All-Star break coming up. We want to discuss how they can supplement him, who they will utilize in left field to kind of smooth things over. They're going to need Aaron Judge as an everyday player again, despite him kind of dealing with some lower back injury stuff. Or lower body injury stuff, whatever it was. But Ryan, before we dive into Aaron Hicks and this injury and ways that they can kind of replace him in left field, how do you do today, my friend?
Could be doing better, right? Hicks going down is not a great sign for a lot of reasons. Not just the fact that he's heating up, but this is a guy who's dealt with injuries his whole career, and for the first time in a while, he's healthy. And this type of injury really isn't an injury-prone injury, if you get what I'm saying. This isn't, wear and tear injury. This is just a freak accident. So you feel for the guy because he finally came back, is playing healthy, and a freak accident occurs. It feels unfair in a sense. And for the Yankees side of it, Judge is banged up. You don't want to push him too much in center field. Now I need someone to play center field, and they put Gallo out there. I don't think they want to have Gallo out there in center field full time, not just because he was struggling at the bat, but I don't know if Gallo's really comfortable out there. I think if he was comfortable out there, we would have saw him last year instead of Gardner in center field. So again, I just don't think he's very comfortable out there, if I'm being honest with you. As for, options, I guess you could try to bring up Florial. That probably just makes sense because you just need someone who could play center field, whether it's starting or backing up Aaron Judge. But this is a really big issue because center field is such a hard position to find quality major league talent at, and to have one of your guys who can play the position go down like this, and they're gonna need time, and you kind of would like to get some wins, get something going. You've just lost 3 in a row. You want to get the ball rolling a little bit. Losing Hicks, who's been money for you as of late, it's a tough blow.
Yeah, it's a tough blow. I mean, Gallo, I was just looking at a stat this morning and kind of going to dive into a couple options, like Esteban Florial and Matt Carpenter. But Carpenter specifically, I just thought it'd be interesting, has 10 homers this year. Joey Gallo has 10 homers this year. Matt Carpenter has reached that number in 45 fewer games. That should give you an indication of, well, one, how great Carpenter has been playing lately, but just how bad Joey Gallo has been. Aaron Hicks has also been really good lately. In June, he had 247 with a 35.6% on base rate, 2 homers, 19 hits, over 77 at bats. But this month he's been even better: 3 homers, 10 hits, over 27 at bats, only 5 strikeouts, hitting 370 with a 49% on base rate. He's been absolutely on fire. We needed him. We needed this version of him. We needed it now because the team is just dealing with some adversity. The bullpen, the starting rotation, some fatigue-related issues there. Now, what do? You have Tim LaCastro who could play outfield, I guess, but let's talk about Matt Carpenter first. He's a guy who's played 12 innings in left field. You necessarily don't want him to be your everyday left fielder, but he can be a supplemental option. Just kind of fill the gaps. I'm sure there's going to be arguments made that they should go and get Brett Gardner and give him a little bit of money to come and help this team. But guy's been out of baseball for a year now, so it's like, can you really expect him to come in and offer you much offensively? I guess after playing 15 years in Major League Baseball, you could probably argue that he's seen enough pitches to come in and help seamlessly. But Matt Carpenter, what are your thoughts on him playing left field, getting a little bit more action in the coming weeks here?
Well, Matt Carpenter is probably going to end up playing right field instead of left, just because how they like to play the corner outfielders. They'll play like the one who isn't as good in the corner outfield in right field at Yankee Stadium, because right field's a little shorter, a little easier to play than that big left field. I think Carpenter is definitely going to get more outfield time. I think he should get more outfield time. I'm not saying he's a good outfielder, but I mean, the bat, right? I mean, you look at the bat, you're going to need it, right? You're going to need the offense. And if he can't make routine plays in the outfield, then that's concerning. I don't need the guy to be, laying out, cutting balls off in the gap. I just need him to hit, which he's been doing. And so I don't really care for him to be a great defender. I just need him to make the routine plays. I think the concern, you mentioned the Castro too. So that could be an option, but Carpenter to me just seems like the guy you either push Stanton to play the outfield a little bit more so you can get Carpenter at the DH spot, But then again, what do you do with Glaber? Because you have Glaber, DJ, Donaldson, Rizzo, that logjam in the infield. If only Glaber was a good defensive shortstop. But realistically, Carpenter is going to have to step up a little bit defensively and take some time in the outfield. I think that's probably the best case scenario here. You still have a really big question mark with what if Judge gets hurt or banged up. He's not going to have the All-Star break off because he's playing in the All-Star game. He's starting, and I imagine he's going to take that offer. I don't think he's going to sit the All-Star game. I think that'd be bad for baseball and bad for him. So you're going to need someone who can play the center field position really well to back him up. And I think that's probably the minor league move. So if people think Andujar's coming up, I don't think that's happening just because you don't have a backup center fielder on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, look, a Carpenter, like you said, if he goes in and kind of plays some right field, that's fine. They need more from Giancarlo Stanton as a defender too. They just need him to be out there. Like the injuries, paying him so much just to be a hitter. Yes, he's an amazing hitter, but it hurts that he can't play defense every day. He is a decent right fielder and has a pretty solid arm. We saw him make a couple insane throws a couple weeks ago when he was playing there. But Estevan Florial, how about him? He's a guy that you kind of mentioned as a potential option. Would you be comfortable with him in left field or right field? I know he's primarily a center fielder, but what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, if you can play center field, I can imagine you could play left field just in Yankee Stadium just because left field is very cavernous. It's a very large part of the field. I know that, the reads on the balls, like balls start tailing on you or hooking on you differently in left field and right field compared to center field. But he's got range. He's got great speed. He's got a good arm. Like he has tools, and you imagine the tools kind of play themselves to allow him to be competent at the position. If anything, you could just play him in center field and put Judge in right field. Don't think that would be a problem for the Yankees, and put Carpenter in left. And suddenly you have left field, center field, right field, or Gallo in left. However, you're gonna have to do it. Gallo's gonna have to play for where the innings where Hicks was supposed to play. I imagine that probably would be the defensive alignment if they had Florial up. It'd be Judge right, Florial center, and Gallo in left. And then you could put Carpenter at DH every now and then, or you play him in right field if Judge is banged up, or you put Judge at DH, whatever you have to do. I really do think Florial brings at least a power tool to the table here. Like I can see him running into a home run pretty easily, like or maybe 2 or 3, right? And when you're talking about a really short stint, because he's not going to be up here for long, right? The Yankees, the deadline's coming up. It's already July 13th. Benintendi's, the rumor mill is spinning like crazy on him, and there's a lot of links to the Yankees and Benintendi. And then Hicks it depends on how long Hicks is out for, right? If Hicks isn't out for a very long time, you have the All-Star break. If he's only out for a 10-day IL stint or 15-day IL stint, right? Florial won't be here for very long. So if you hit 1 or 2 home runs in a short stint, your stats look pretty damn good. So for Florial, it's just, I think he can run into one. If I know, again, there are question marks about how much he'll strike out, if he'll swing at everything. But I mean, I'll take it. The defense is really good. The base running is really good. That's another thing. The Yankees don't want to have Hicks stole a lot of bases for them. He stole, I believe, 9 or 10. Florial can steal bases. You want the Yankees to still be able to use their base running abilities, which has helped them so much. And I feel like the offense right now, especially, you look at last night. I don't think they pushed the envelope very much after the first 3 runs were scored. I know Glaber tried to, but outside of that, they were very risk averse on the base pass. They didn't make anything happen. They didn't try to test a really bad Cincinnati defense. We saw this with Boston when they tested Boston defense and they made them make plays. Red Sox usually didn't come up with those plays, and the Yankees were able to win a lot of games or score a lot of runs on that strategy. So Florial definitely is a big help there. He's probably the fastest guy on the Yankees right now if he comes up, just because he's so young and he's really fast. He's still 26 bases in AAA already. So look, I'm going to sound like a fanboy here, I know, but I see power, I see speed, and I say give him a shot. This is Florial's first opportunity to get some sustained playing time with his new found skill set in AAA, and I want to see it. I don't want I'm not getting it. I'm not learning anything with Andujar up here. I'm not learning anything with LeCastro up here. LeCastro would make sense because he's a great base dealer, and I'm fine with that. But I can learn something with Florial up here about Florial and kind of market him at the deadline.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing, giving him a little bit of reps and experience just to prove what he's capable of doing, and that he can be an everyday outfielder for an MLB team. That value, I think, will help them at the deadline. But that's another question. Does this push general manager Brian Cashman to make a move at the deadline? I would assume it probably puts a little bit more pressure on them. I know, Hicks will be back eventually. It might take a month, maybe 2 months, but he will make a return. So, they don't have to worry about him being out for the rest of the season. But he will miss a good chunk of time with this injury, most likely. Estevan Florial hitting 303 or 300 right now in AAA with 11 homers, 31 RBIs, like you mentioned, 26 stolen bases, but he is striking out at a 30% clip. He did not record a hit when he was with the MLB with the Yankees over 4 games, but still such a small sample size, impossible to tell what he's capable of doing. I think that, ultimately they should give him a shot, because if there was ever a chance, there was ever a time to give Esteban Florial an opportunity to see what he can do over prolonged reps, over a prolonged sample size, this is the chance to do it right now. And I still think they can get Matt Carpenter involved, whether it be like they just play him half the game, whatever. They could do so many different things, or just use Esteban Florial as a base runner in situations like that. He's a good defender, decent arm. He's got the power, like you mentioned, from the lefty side. Like there's a lot to like when it comes to Esteban Florial, but I do think he just needs more reps at the end of the day. But do you think this kind of pushes the envelope for a trade deadline acquisition with this Hicks injury?
It depends on the severity of it, right? If he's out for 10 games, I think the Yankees will just kind of figure it out when they figure it out. I don't think they're gonna, start working the phones even heavier if Hicks is out for 10 days. They'll live for 10 days, because it's 3 days of that is not, you're not even playing baseball because of the All-Star break. So it's really just no Aaron Hicks for 7 days. I think they'll live. But if it's a matter of, 4, 5, 6 weeks, they'll get an outfielder sooner rather than later. I don't think this team is going to sink without Aaron Hicks. I think Hicks is a good player, but they definitely can't. They're definitely going to be a worse team without Hicks. So, he's not Judge, right? So, he's not your MVP, but he's a valuable enough player where him being gone for weeks would you would feel an impact there. You'd start losing 2 or 3 more games than you usually would. So I think that it'll push the envelope depending on how long he's out. If I know that's like a cop-out answer and that's not like a definitive answer, but we know so true. Little. Yeah, we just know so little about his injury that I can't say the Yankees are going to push the envelope when they don't even know the severity of the injury. So it depends, right? And I in my opinion, the best case scenario is Hicks comes back healthy really quickly, and the Yankees go out and still get an outfielder, and you have a healthy Aaron Hicks, a healthy outfielder that you just acquired, and you have a great rotation through your outfields, and you're doing, and that's the best case scenario, right? That is the best case scenario. It's not, Hicks goes down, the Yankees are going to go to a big time outfielder. This is an ultimate win for the Yankees. No, it's not. Aaron Hicks going down is absolutely 100% a terrible thing, and the team is better with him than without him, even if they get an outfielder. But they'll be more aggressive to get an outfielder if Hicks is out for a really long time, which, again, I hope that's not the case, because I would like to have that outfielder and Aaron Hicks.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's going to be interesting, my friends. I'd love to hear your thoughts below in the YouTube comments about Aaron Hicks losing him. What would you do? Would you call up Esteban Florial? Would you put Matt Carpenter out in the outfield? Would you go and acquire someone? Does that push kind of the envelope for that? Very curious to hear your thoughts. As always, make sure to like and subscribe below, and we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Yankees episode.